Hi, today we're going to talk a little bit about relationships. Hi, I'm Edie. I help stressed out people, particularly 911 dispatchers, but also other stressed out people own their lives through helping them, to leading them to develop strong self-care practices, also known as habits. Relationships. What's that got to do with habits? Well, our relationships are based on our habits of interaction. And it's interesting, the dance that we have. I don't know if you've ever had a conflicted relationship. I certainly have. And it was always amazing to me that I could predict where this conversation was going to go, how fast it was going to hit the toilet, how deeply it was going to go into the sewer, and when and why. I could always predict what the answer was going to be, and I would hold lengthy arguments inside my head, trying to refute, trying to deflect, trying to change someone else's mind when they weren't even in the room. Have you ever done that? Did you have any success with it? Because I never did. And I would really like to find out how, because, it seems like it would be such an effective thing to do. Not really. But why is that? Why do we do this? Why do we get locked into these dances, especially when they're ugly, especially when it seems to deteriorate the relationship? Why do we do this? Well, it's a habit. It's a habit. And what I found with myself, and maybe you've recognized it in yourself, maybe not, and maybe it's not even true for you, but what I found in myself is that I thought the other person needed to do something different. I thought it was their fault. And if they would do it different, then everything would be better. If they would just fall into line with what I thought they should do, it would be all better. Have you ever thought that? What a waste of energy. Because we can't change somebody else. We know that. We know that. And still, we think it's the other person who needs to change. We think if they just weren't so stubborn, or if they just would take the time to understand, or whatever we think. When I started college, I was in my 40s, early 40s, maybe late 30s. I don't know, because it's been a hot minute ago. And so I had this advantage of life experience before I started school. And I remember taking Psych 101 at Pensacola Junior College in Pensacola, Florida. I can still remember my professor's face, and his name will come to me, I'm sure, in the middle of the night tonight, because he really had a profound effect on me. But in the textbook, I actually read my textbook because I was so uncertain about being in school, because I knew that I hadn't been in school in a long, long, long time. And so I did weird things like read the assignments. I came across this sentence, and it was so profound to me. It was so profound. You see, I'd gone through a divorce. I had left 911. And my life was in a state of flux. And I was trying to figure out my way. And so this Psych 101 class was a big deal to me. And I came across this sentence. And I wrote it down. And I memorized it. And I think I can still quote it right, although I don't remember the name of the textbook to attribute the quote correctly, so I'm probably plagiarizing. The fundamental error in interpersonal relationships is the misattribution of motive to another's behavior. Pretty heady sentence, isn't it? What that sentence says is we think that we know why they did or didn't, or said or didn't say whatever happened. And we are always wrong. Always. Always. We don't know why other people do what they do. I promise you we don't. We think we do. We think we can somehow read minds, but I want you to think about this. Do you really know why you do what you do? Do you really know why you answered so sharply to your child this morning when all they wanted was more oatmeal? Do you really know why you do what you do? Why it upset you so much that this poor little girl at McDonald's who's working her first job can't seem to get the order right? Why do you get upset with that? Those are just examples. I don't know that you do this. These are things that I've done in my past that made absolutely no sense, and I had no idea why I did them. Still don't. How arrogant of me to think that I know why somebody else does what they do. What makes me think that I know why you do what you do? I don't know your life. When my youngest was a teenager, she would scream and cry, "You don't know my life." And one day I went, you know what? She's right. I don't. I don't know her. I don't know her life. I don't know what it's like to be 15 anymore. I don't know what it's like to go to that school. I don't know what it's like to have that teacher. I don't know what her life is like. And isn't that true for all of us? For every other person, we don't know. I'll tell you a story. When I was in Atlanta going to seminary, I was terrified on I-75. The traffic there is just legendary. It's so heavy and it's so challenging. And people go well above the speed limit. And I was driving my grad school car, 97 Toyota Tercel. This is in 2011, okay? So it's an old little car, my little putt-putt. And I had Louisiana license plates. And I was pretty sure that they were trying to kill me because of the Louisiana license plates and because my car was old. I don't know, something. I was pretty sure that the drivers in Atlanta were out to get me because people would come up and get right on my tail, or they would whip in front of me, or they would, it was very, very scary to me. I had one colleague who told me, "Edie, you need to develop an edge to drive in Atlanta." And then I thought about, I would get to school and be upset, and at 8 o'clock class is hard enough. An 8 o'clock class in mystical theology, where you have to actually think, was really challenging when I would get there all upset about the traffic. And so I decided that I needed to do something different. Have you ever decided you needed to do something different? How hard is that? And so I decided to start, if I'm going to misattribute motive, which I was, right? I'm going to do it in a kinder way. And so I determined that the people who were cutting me off and who were tailgating me were in a hurry to get to the hospital because their grandmother was deathly ill. And I could certainly forgive them for being anxious and really trying to get there fast, even though it was really hard for me to want to go 80 miles an hour on an interstate. I did the best I could to make myself get out of the way and to be a gracious driver and to let them get around me because, sick grandmas. There's a lot of sick grandmas in Atlanta. But what it did for me was it gave me peace. It gave me the margin to be able to be gracious, to be able to be kind, to say a prayer for that driver, and to say a prayer of safety for me. So, misattribution of motive. Avoid it. You can't, but try to check yourself when you notice. Have a great day.